What's up, YouTube? Today I'm gonna show you guys 5 characters in Deadlock that don't require a lot of aiming. So these characters are gonna be a lot more ability focused, not really focusing as hard as on like that M1 style, holding left click and the exact precision of where you're hitting your left clicks. So maybe if you're coming from another MOBA, you don't really have an FPS background, maybe you're even coming from like a game like chess. Who knows? It doesn't matter. These characters might feel a little bit better because they're a lot more ability focused. We're gonna briefly go over their kits. I'll give you guys some tips and tricks for each character, and I'm gonna give you guys a build for every single one with the build ID, of course, that you can, plug into your game and just copy and paste. All right, so let's get into it. The first character is actually going to be Graves, one of the newest characters in the game. I know I did say that every character will require at least a little bit of aim, but Graves is actually maybe the only character where that might not even be true, because she actually has 2 abilities or 3 abilities that require no aim whatsoever because you're actually spawning in kind of like these NPCs. And one of them is procced off your auto attacks, your left click, which literally doesn't require any aiming. It's an auto lock. Yeah, you literally auto aims for you. So like I can click a little bit to the left and it'll hit the Infernus. I can click a little bit to the right, it'll hit the Infernus. So it's really unmissable. I mean, you can miss it if I like aim out here, but I mean, hopefully you can at least be in the general area of the people you're trying to hit. And now continuing forward with that theme, we have Graves 1, which is Jar of Dead. And basically what it does is you throw out these skulls. It doesn't do any damage right away, right when it pops. Throw them out and auto hit enemies for you. If they're near you, they'll follow you around, and if you start hitting an enemy, the skulls will attack the enemy for you. So again, no aim required. Skulls are hitting them without any thought from you. Now the enemies can destroy these skulls. They can light melee them and kill them or shoot them. So it actually requires more aim for the enemy if they're deciding to shoot them. But yeah, they do some spirit damage over time. Pretty straightforward. And now for Graves 2, which is Grasping Hands, which is actually the most aim required for this character. It's just this line, deployable. Basically, you attach it to the ground. If the enemies walk over it, they will get rooted. So you can block off certain spots for this. They can jump over it. If they jump over it, they won't get rooted. This is a root and a cripple or an immobilize, so they can't use like movement abilities when they get rooted in it. So it's a pretty strong CC and it combos really well with the rest of your kit. But yeah, that's literally the most aim required for this character. Your 3 is Essence Theft, which is just a passive like a lot of characters in Deadlock. Just a passive ability that interacts with your auto attacks. Basically, every time you hold left click on somebody, you're stealing weapon damage and spirit resist from them. And that's it. Very, very simple, straightforward. Obviously, it's really good for a lot of reasons. Increase your own damage, lower the resist, so you're doing more damage, but also is just doing this for everyone. So if your teammates are attacking them, they have less spirit resist, so they can do more damage as well. And then finally, we have Borrow Decree, which is Graves' ultimate, which is a really cool ability. You place a gravestone. Now, this blocks player movement, so if an enemy was trying to walk through this, they wouldn't be able to. Obviously, I can. That's one of the benefits. As you can see, it spawned some zombies. They went over and hit this Infernus because he was nearby. They just auto target stuff for you. Again, no aim required. The zombies are doing it on their own. Instead, now that they don't have an enemy nearby, they're just going to walk down lane and push lanes. That's what they do. So they can give you a lot of free pressure in lanes. They can push out waves for you, and you can do something on the other parts of the map. There's a lot of use cases for this. You can put it around objectives, say the urn is being delivered. You can put like, I like to go refresher on this character, and we'll talk about that in a second. You can put 2 ults down right next to the urn and just have zombies pouring in, making it very hard for them to deliver. People would just be taking damage from your skulls, your zombies at these objectives, and it'll just be passive damage, basically passive income for you, simply because you clicked your 1 and you clicked your 4 in like a decent spot, but like 0 aim required. Now the enemies can destroy this grave if they heavy melee it twice, so be careful with that. So one of the plays you can often do on this character is place your grave near an enemy and they'll see it and they want to destroy it. You can place your root down next to it and you can just play around it, and if they try and heavy melee it, you can parry it. And you can basically just protect your grave, make it so you can spawn more zombies, and if they do try and heavy melee and they aren't able to, say they get parried, zombies will be spawning and hitting them and doing a lot of spirit damage because, like I said, zombies will attack people and they actually explode on enemy gods or enemy heroes, and they will do a lot of damage. And now moving on to Graves build. It's just Fineokay Graves 2526, the date. And yeah, this is the build. I tried out a lot of different builds on her, and this is kind of what I've settled on and I think is really good. So the thing about Resto Shot to begin with is it's like her best item in the game, basically, because you cannot miss it. The same thing with Mystic Shot, which isn't in the build, but is something you could build. The thing about these items is the passive. So Resto Shot, what it does is just heals you if you hit an enemy at all, an enemy hero, enemy minion, enemy structure, doesn't matter. It'll heal you for a little bit. 15 if it's an enemy NPC, and 50 if it's an enemy hero. You actually cannot miss this on this character because it won't use the cooldown until you attach to somebody with your left click. So just a real quick example of that, I went and bought Resto Shot. Here's an Infernus. I'm holding left click, I'm missing because it's just so far away. But if I went over and hit him, it blocks the Resto Shot for me, as you can see in the bottom left. So make sure Resto Shot you should be buying every single game. And I think this build in general is going to be good for pretty much every single game, but just going through it real quick. For some reason, all the female characters in Deadlock, I don't know if this is every single one, but most of them have 2 stamina. So stamina is just kind of mandatory to be able to get away, to be able to chase people. It's also really good on this character because you have a pretty quickly draining mag, so you can use your stam to dash slide and hold left click on people to extend your mag, obviously, because you have infinite ammo while you're sliding. Recharging Rush is super good because it'll actually give you a free cast of your jar. So the way your jar works is you have to be near things that die to pick up their souls to replenish this. It's not just like a regular ability cooldown. Probably should have mentioned that when we were going over the abilities, but it's all good. Pick up souls and it will replenish that. But if you have Recharging Rush, if you just simply do 200 damage threshold, you'll instantly get a jar back without needing to have been near souls to pick them up or anything like that. We go to Improved Spirit and Slowing Bullets. You can skip the Slowing Bullets if you want, but this gives you some nice weapon damage and is very synergistic with her kit because she can chase people down, hold left click on them, and keep them near all of her area of control with her zombies, her jars, all of that. It's just good weapon damage early game as well. We're going to transition into Toxic Bullet, Stamina Mastery for our green and our gun. We should have our green investment by here right now as well. If we just get one of these, I say choose your fighter because it's going to depend on the game a little bit. Enchanters if you want a little bit more Spirit Resist, Battle Vest if you want a little more Bullet Resist, depending on your lane and the game that you're into. You can go Enduring Speed if you just want to have like Enduring Speed plus Stamina Mastery, because they have like a really heavy dive comp and you just need to be able to run away. Heal Beam if they have a ton of healing. But yeah, we should have all of our investments at this point because we're gonna have Improved Spirit plus Rapid Recharge. So we'll have all of our investments and we're gonna transition more into a Spirit build at this point in the game. I think it's very, very good for her late game. You could just spam your ults with Transcendent Cooldown, Refresher. You could put that in lanes and get a ton of pressure off that, like I talked about before around objectives. It's just so insane, especially in the late game for macro. Keeping lanes pushed out is one of the most important things, so very, very good for that. Now, if you want, I also like, I probably would say 50-50. 50% of the games, I go this like kind of spirit heavy style, and then other 50% of games, I go a little bit more auto attack. And with that, you go Ricochet plus Inhibitor. And this is very, very good in team fights because your 3, once at max, will go to multiple targets. So as you can see here, I can hit both of them at the right angle. I'm hitting both of them. But with Ricochet as well and Inhibitor, remember, you're stealing weapon damage and Spirit Resist. With Inhibitor, you're also lowering their output of damage and their healing. And then Ricochet is going to ricochet between all of them. So if you go both, not only am I stealing Spirit Resist and lowering their weapon damage, with Inhibitor, I'm also lowering their damage total and I'm reducing their healing. So it's just so much, you're just doing so much utility just by holding left click in a team fight with these 2 items. So like I said, that's also a very good route to go. It's really up to you. If you want to be a little bit more ability focused, you can go this route. And if you want to go a little bit more left click focus, you can go this route. Both are good, kind of depends on the game. See what you like more. And that's basically Graves, guys. Don't be afraid to just kind of like throw an ult down in a lane, like behind a walker, behind a tower, and just have your zombies push out that lane for you. It can buy you a lot of time, buy you pressure. You can do other stuff with it. Also on Graves, guys, we're going to max our 1 into our ultimate and then into our 3 and then lastly our 2. It's pretty much Graves. Here's your build ID. It'll be in the description, of course, as well. Let's move on to the next character. All right, guys, next up we have Abrams. Now, Abrams can kind of be an aim-intensive character if you're building more for just your pure gun. But that's not what we're doing today. We're going to be building for our melees. It's actually pretty good right now, I think. You don't really need to aim that hard with melees, especially with a lot of your combos that I'm going to show you guys. So let's briefly go over Abrams Kit. We have Abrams 1, which is Siphon Life, which is an ability you click. It's a duration ability that does spirit damage over time to enemies in this AoE, and it heals you for a portion of the damage. So it's 66% on enemy heroes and 33% on non-heroes, so like your minions and all that. But yeah, pretty simple, straightforward. You click this. You're going to be in the middle of everybody a lot as this character, so you're getting a lot of value out of this, just this huge AoE, hitting people, healing you. Next up, we have Abrams 2 Shoulder Charge, which is very important to talk about for this build specifically. It's going to be a big part of your combo. Because this is dash that can be used for movement, but the main use case for it is going to be hitting enemies into the walls of the map or structures or anything like that. Just any geometry, you can stun them up against it if you dash them into it like this. As you can see here, you get stunned up against the wall. You don't have any points into it, which is very important to talk about. So if you don't have any points into it and you stun somebody up against the wall, all you have time for is a light melee before they can parry. So if you have no points into it or only 1 point into it, all you can do is get a light melee off before they can parry. You cannot heavy melee off of it. However, if you get 2 points into it, it extends the stun duration, which allows us to push them into the wall and get a heavy melee off before they can parry. So this is really important to note for the laning phase because you want to get 2 points into it like this in the laning phase before you max your 1, and then you max your 2, and then you max your ult. We'll talk about why, but yeah, you want to get 2 points to it so that you can get that heavy melee off because it's very important for the laning phase. Gives you a ton of kill pressure, especially combined with the items that we're going to go. So yeah, make sure before you get the 2 points to it, you're only light meleeing. And you can do that in the laning phase. Go up, light melee, get some shots off. It'll be good. And then once you get the 2 points in, you and your duo in your lane can get a huge combo and a huge burst of damage off that stun. Abrams 3 is a passive ability like a lot of abilities in Deadlock. Basically, it's just passive regen. That's all you really need to know about that. Now, if you're struggling in a laning phase, you're getting bullied really hard, you can put a point into this to get that 1.5 health regen that you can see right here. That'll help you, especially you combine that with extra regen. You have a lot of passive regen on this character, so it should make it a lot harder for you to continue to get bullied. And then we have Abrams ult, which is you just fly into the air. At max rank, you do become unstoppable. However, if it's not max rank, you can be CC'd out of this, so keep that in mind. But you fly down to the ground, you stun people. Good escape ability, good initiation ability, very good around mid-boss especially. Combined with superior duration, it will make the stun duration last longer, so that's really good. So once you get some points into your two, your combo is usually going to click one and then two somebody, heavy melee them and shoot them. None of that requires aim really. They're going to be stunned against the wall, so you should be able to shoot them at least a couple times while they can't move. And a lot of times that's going to make or break the character. Like you're going to kill people or not kill people in that time, and pretty easy. And of course, to make that happen, we need to go a build to facilitate that. And this is the build that you should be going. It's Fineokay Abrams 2526. Build ID right here. Be in the description and everything. Extra regen, we're going to go regardless. It's very good in lane, and Abrams is a character. He's got a big model, so that all that extra regen is going to help a lot and allow you to play super aggressive. We're going to build that into a healing booster anyway because we heal a lot in this character, and it's going to go into a healing tempo late game, which is super strong in this character. Just always just proccing on him. It's like automatically proccing, giving him a ton of fire rate. And of course, healing booster, just good in general because we're healing a lot. Close quarters, because a lot of our damage can be up close, and that also increases our melee damage. Same thing with melee charge, going to increase our melee distance, which is really nice on this character because we can use that for movement a lot of the time. Now, if you're starting out, it's not something you have to worry about too much, but increased distance on your heavy melee is super nice, and it's going to give you more damage, of course. So same thing with Spirit Strike. We're going to be proccing that constantly. We want to go into our green investment. Green investment, 4,800 souls spent. Going to give us a huge health bonus. I don't know what the exact number is right now. It's been changed a little bit, but I think it's like 400 HP maybe, around there. But yeah, so all three of these will give us that. Healing booster is going to be built from extra regen. And this is 4,800 right here. Enduring speed, because when you start roaming the map at this point, we're a very good roaming character, very good at ganking because we can dash people on the walls with our points and our 2, and we'll get free kills off of that with our team. Now in the mid game, there's going to be a lot of damage between these 4 items, okay? We'll get our spirit investment from spirit snatch and superior durations. Strike builds into snatch, so that's nice. Point blank again. A lot of our damage is up close, and it will increase our melee damage. Same thing with Hunter's Aura. It's reducing their bullet resist and fire rate. We're going to be in the middle of everybody, so we're proccing this on basically everybody. And of course, this increases our melee damage, which is very important. Superior Duration will make our 1 last longer, our stuns last longer, and it gets us our Spirit Investment, which is nice, and Snatch just absolutely shreds them. Now, come mid-game, you do want to have like maybe 1 or 2 of these, depending on the game, but most of the time you want to have a couple of these just because you want to be tanky on this character. You're going to be in the middle of everybody. You don't want to get one shot, so this will help a lot. Warp Stone, because we can Warp Stone and dash people into walls to set up for our team, get free kills off ganks. Could be a gank, could be, you know, around a siege, whether we're sieging into them or they're sieging into us. We can Warp Stone, push them into our tower, get a lot of value out of Warp Stone on this character. And of course, you get bullet resist when you Warp Stone, so that'll help a lot as well. When you initiate with a Warp Stone, you're gonna be super tanky. And all this is just gonna further facilitate everything that we've already been talking about. Crushing Fist slams, does a ton of damage. You'll one-shot people with your combo with Crushing Fist. Juggernaut, so you're a little bit more slow resist and a little bit tankier because you're gonna be reducing their fire rate. You're gonna be in the middle of everybody again. Phantom Strike, instantly set up our dash. Same thing, it's like kind of the same concept of Warp Stone. Phantom Strike, we can take people out of the air. We can instantly initiate and push people into walls. Same concept. Talked about tempo already. And Crippling Headshot, if it gets to the point where you're still in the game and you want to do a little bit more damage, because you do get free headshots. No aim required free headshots off of your dashes because they're going to be stunned against walls. Crippling Headshot's very nice. And then you have some options late if you want to do that. If you're kind of feeling a little bit squishy, they have a lot of gun characters, plated armor. Feeling squishy, they have a lot of spirit characters, Spellbreaker. And Colossus is kind of like a catch-all. Like you can go Colossus instead of either of these. And this does increase your melee damage. So keep that in mind. It'll increase your damage a little bit, but it also makes you super, super tanky. So it's up to you. Simple, straightforward, nothing too crazy about the build. Just make sure you're meleeing a lot. If you're starting out, a lot of people aren't going to be pairing, so you probably can heavy melee a lot. But if you're into that like intermediate, mid-level stage, people are going to be pairing a little bit more, so you want to light melee a lot more, and then only heavy melee off of your combo, or bait out their parries by heavy meleeing and just like looking into a different direction. Just basically instead of going right to them, melee to the side so that you can bait out their parry. A lot of times they'll parry if they're like an average at least player, and then you can heavy melee them after that and do a lot of damage. Yeah, it's basically Abrams, guys. No real aim required as long as you're abusing those melees and those combos, and you should be feeling pretty good. Let's move on to the next one. Next character I want to talk about is Calico. Another very ability-based character in Deadlock. Calico is this sort of like spirit hybrid melee character that your abilities do require a little bit of aim, but it's not nearly as much as you would require on a lot of other characters, especially M1 heroes. So let's briefly go over a kit. Calico 1 is Gloom Bombs. You just throw a bunch of bombs. They stick to enemies and do a lot of spirit damage. You can kind of be near them, and the AoE will hit them. As you can see, it wasn't right on top of the Infernus, but it hit him. You can just kind of like throw it at people's feet a lot of the time, and comboed with some of the items that will go you'll see that it can get a lot easier. Next up, we have Calico 2, or Leaping Slash, which is just a little dash that does a little swipe in an AoE circle at the target location, and it heals you and does some good spirit damage. It also procs melee items. Now, there's some interesting things about this ability. If you're too close and you dash past them, it won't hit them, as you can see, but what you can do is you can jump into the air and look down and dash, and you'll actually hit them right up close. So instead of missing them like that, we can just easily hit them by jumping up and looking down. You can also use this ability for movement, so you can like jump and dash up and then like get up to some certain areas on towers and stuff like that. Next up, we have Calico 3, or Ava, which turns you into a little kitty, which allows you to roam the map, gives you movement speed, and specifically on this map, on a recent update, you can actually go into these vents that only you and Rem can go into, that give you these little tiny boxes, so you can do some box runs with this. This is very good for roaming the map, for ganking, for doing box runs in the early game. So boxes spawn at 2 minutes. So right when the 2 minutes hits, you can turn into Ava and go do some boxes and come back to lane and have a slow lead on people that you otherwise wouldn't have. Next up, we have Calico, which is Return to Shadows, which is actually a pretty low cooldown ultimate in this game. Basically, it just makes you immune to all damage, all CC when you click it. It does some burst damage up front and some damage at the end. So if we hit this Infernus, as you can see, it did some burst damage and burst spirit, and then burst spirit damage on the way out. At max strength, this is also going to refund all your cooldowns. So if I dump my kit and then ult, as you can see, they were on cooldown. I got them right back, and I can dump my kit again. It's very good for finishing off kills and getting out of sticky situations because it can make you immune to everything, and it gives you some movement speeds. You can go pretty fast. So yeah, the usual combo is you're gonna 1-2 into them and then ult for huge burst damage. And none of that really requires that much aim. So let's talk about Calico Build real quick. Like I said before, she's a very spirit ability based, like melee hybrid roaming character. So all of our items are gonna facilitate that. Gonna get extra spirit, so our early game damage is nice. Melee lifesteal, it's gonna give us free procs on our 2. Our dash will easily proc that. Spirit Strike also gonna get free procs on our 2. We're also gonna be light mailing a decent amount on this character because you can get a free light melee off of your dash. You don't always want to do this, especially at a higher level. People will parry, but you can kind of like play mind games with people. Sometimes do it, sometimes don't. Maybe bait out parries here and there. Cold Front just adds to our combo. We're going to click this every time we dash in and use our 1. It's going to slow them so we can keep them near our bombs, so there's good synergy there. Sprint boots, extra stamina just for some more movement speed around the map, to run around, to gank, to roam, get boxes, force objectives, force walkers, all that good stuff. Because in the mid game, you do want to be forcing plays on the map as this character because you have a low cooldown ultimate, which will allow you, like I said, to get out of sticky situations so you can force the issue a lot of the time. Transition into more Spirit Torment Pulse, because we're going to be near enemies a lot of the time. It's just going to give us free procs, add to our combo. Pretty simple. Enduring Speed for roaming the map. Life Strike, we're actually never really built this before, but it recently got buffed, and I think you probably should start building on her, on like all these characters that do have free melee procs, which she does. Same thing with Spirit Snatch, lowering their Spirit Resist, giving us Spirit Power, extra damage, everything that we want on this character. Will help us one-shot people in our combo. Veil Walker is a very good item for people roaming the map, and it's very good on Calico especially because it'll allow us to stay on the map for long periods of time because we can heal every time we go through a veil. And it'll allow us to gank more, which again, like I said, is what we want to be doing. Spirit cooldown, so we can keep forcing the issue, keep making plays on the map, so we have our ult up more often, all of our abilities, full combos, all that. And then moving on, a lot of this is just upgrades from stuff that we've already bought. Arctic Blast from Cold Front. Arctic Blast literally freezes them, keeps them in place, so it gives us a completely free combo. They're stuck still, sort of like an Abrams push, so you can throw your bombs at them, dash them, and then ult them, and they'll die a lot of the time. Balance upgraded from Improve, so we can one-shot people, Transcendent Cooldown, so we can just spam more often. Juggernaut, slow resist, people shooting us, so fire rate will be reduced, and we can just run around and go crazy. Of course, extra movement speed for our ultimate as well, so we can get out of some bad situations. And then late game, if it does get to that point, you can go Spirit Burn on this character. You can proc it very easily. You do a lot of spirit damage, so you can throw that in the build. Anti-heal as well, so if they're trying to lifesteal in the time it takes you to get your combos off, that'll help with that. And as always, there's some optional late counters depending on the game. Plated for gun, Spellbreaker for Spirit Resist. Witchmail is actually not too bad on this character because you do have low cooldown, so you can actually spam with it. If you have Transcendent Cooldown plus Witchmail, it's kind of a wombo combination. And if you do want to use your gun or hold your left click a bit, you feel like you are using your gun quite a bit in your games, then you can go Backstabber, Hunter's Warrior on this character. Both will increase your melee damage, and Backstabber, people are going to be running away from you a lot. This will help you chase them down. And you have a lot of Spirit in your build, so you'll get a lot of extra damage from the Spirit damage over time. So yeah, you can go that if you'd like. Real quick, just show you a combo with Arctic Blast, just show you how easy it can be. You get Arctic Blast them, put your bombs on them, and dash them. And I don't even need ult there, but usually you'd have to ult. And that's basically Calico, guys. You know, ability-based character that doesn't require a lot of aim. So hope you enjoy her. We'll go to the next one. Next up, we have Yamato, which is a super fun character. Now, this character does require a little bit of aim when it comes to her 1. It's like this channel ability that a lot of people are going to be trying to juke, so you do have to track them a little bit. And you do have to aim a little bit with your left click, but a lot of the time, that's not what you're going to be using on this character, which I'll talk about. So let's go ahead and break down her kit. Yamato's gun has this left click mechanic, which is basically a shotgun, but her right click throws these little bombs that explode in an AoE. And because it's an AoE, a lot of times you don't really have to aim that hard. You could just kind of throw it at their feet, and a lot of times it'll hit them around corners. and it'll give you free procs of some items, which we'll talk about in the build. So if like somebody's standing behind this corner, let's put an Infernus here. He's standing behind that corner. I can kind of just throw my right clicks over there and it will hit him. You know, I'm not really aiming that hard. It's just sort of around their feet, their grippers. So I would say that mechanic isn't really that difficult. Doesn't require too much aim. You'll get used to that pretty quickly. Yamato's one does require some aim. So Power Slash is just this channeled ability you throw out. If you full channel it, it does a lot of spirit damage. It's really hard. You can end it early and do a little bit of spirit damage, but not nearly as much as the full channel. You are stuck in place when you do this, unless you get some momentum first. You can kind of slide a little bit and get around corners to one people. As far as aiming goes, that's probably the hardest part of her kit, though, because her 2, Flying Strike, is just point and click. If you see an enemy, you can just click on them and you'll fly to them, grapple them and do a little bit of damage, give you some weapon damage if it's maxed. It's really good for chasing people down or initiating, but for the most part, there's not too much nuance to this. You can cancel it early by clicking spacebar, so you can gain some momentum by doing that. Give you some momentum to slide, you know, that kind of thing. Moving on to Yamato 3 or Crimson Slash, it's this cone around you that does some burst spirit damage. It lowers their fire rate and heals you. So the cool thing about this ability is you don't even really have to aim it. Like, you can look at the ground. As you can see, it still hit the Infernus. So again, not really too much aim required there. If you're near an enemy and they're in front of you, just kind of have them near you and you can just click 3, aim at the ground and you'll hit them. And then Yamato Ultimate or Shadow Transformation is a very strong ability that during this channel, you're completely immune to everything. After it, you become CC immune. You get all of your abilities back. You heal on enemy kills, and if you kill an enemy, it actually extends the duration of this transformation. Like I said, you're completely CC immune. You're very tanky during this as well. It's just a really, really strong ability. For the most part, a lot of time you're going to be using this just to refresh your abilities to get a kill on somebody. Also, very importantly, it speeds up your ability. So your 1 is a pretty long duration channel, but in our ultimate, it'll be a lot faster. So a lot of times where you dump our kit on somebody, they get pretty low off of it. We want to get our cooldowns back by clicking our ultimate. Then we click 1 and boom, look how fast it goes out. Same thing with the 3. The 2 goes faster. Everything goes faster. So yeah, that's Yamato Kit. Let's go over a build real quick. We're going to be going Resto, Mystic Shot in the early game because of our right clicks. We're going to be spamming our right click in the laning phase, and we just get free procs of both of these with that. If we just throwing at people's feet, we'll get a lot of procs of these. We go into a Healbane, Spirit Strike, Extra Spirit. All of these are very good on this character, Healbane. We're going to be giving anti-heal to the enemies that we hit, but also we're getting healing on kill, and especially in our ult, we're already healing. This just allows us to make so many good tempo plays on the map, stay out, continue the fight, which is what we want to be doing on this character. And the other thing about these 3 items is that all these are giving us Spirit, which is going to help our Mystic Shot. So nice synergy there. Cold Front, chasing people down. We're going to be in the middle of the fight, set up our combos. Pretty much self-explanatory, I'd say. Torrent Pulse, same thing as Calico. We're just going to be in the middle of everybody, getting a lot of value out of this constantly. Again, we're healing on kills. We're going to be chasing people down. We're going to be surviving in the fight for 10, 15 seconds. Torrent Pulse will get a lot of value out of that. Enduring Speed, because we're going to be roaming the map at this point. That's something you'll notice about a lot of these characters, is that's what they want to be doing in the mid game. So Enduring Speed helps a lot with that, running around, ganking, making plays, forcing the issue with our ultimate up. Spirit Snatch. So the other thing about Spirit Strike and Spirit Snatch on Yamato is that you're CC immune in your ultimate, so you can't be stunned by a parry. So you can be parried. It'll make it so the melee doesn't hit at all, but you can't be stunned. So it just gives you free pressure to slam some melees and bait out their parries, and then you can get some free Spirit Snatch procs off of it. So very, very good on her. Counterspell gives us some spirit power, which is nice, but for the most part, we take long engagements on this character and survive for very long. So if we can get multiple use cases out of our counterspell, we get a lot of value out of that, and it'll heal us even more. Again, just extend the fight even more and more. We want to get maybe 1 or 2 resist items in the mid game because we are going to be in the middle of everybody, so we're going to be pretty tanky. And then we transition to just pure spirit, pure damage in this late game. Superior cooldown, Arctic Blast, Boundless, Refresher will make us absolutely Thanos. Refresher, because we can get multiple uses of our ult off. You're actually insane. Like, it's just so hard for enemies to deal with. You get so much damage from that. If you're able to get multiple 1s off once you get to this point in the game on a squishy, they'll die in like 2 1s if you get the full charge off. So it's very, very strong. You can go a little bit tankier if you want. I do suggest maybe getting 1 or 2 items in the late game. Divine Kevlar is really, really strong on this character. It's going to increase our ability duration, and it's going to give us a 1,000 health shield when we ult. So if we are already hard to deal with before, imagine now. And of course, the extra spirit power as well will last the entire duration of our ultimate, so will help our abilities hit really hard. And then Juggernaut's just an upgrade from Enduring Speed. Mystic Reverb is actually really good right now. I'd recommend putting this on your 1 if you do end up getting to this point in the game where you can buy it. But other than that, there's a lot of similarities to the other builds that we talked about, so don't want to go too in-depth about it, but that's the Yamato build right here. And build ID, which will be in the description right there. And that's Yamato, guys. I think this character is very, very strong right now, so you definitely want to be using her while you can. So get out there, use my build, and I promise you'll cook. And last, but certainly not least, we have Infernus as our 5th character that you don't have to aim on. Now, if you're going a gun build, you do have to aim on this character, but my favorite thing to do on this character, and one of my favorite things in this entire game, is going dash Infernus. And I talked about this in my last video where I went over 5 heroes and how to build them. So we're not going to go into depth about Infernus. You can just watch that if you want to. But yeah, here's my build. It's the dash Infernus build. Just to briefly go over it. basically every single item in the build is either buffing our dash, making our dash last longer, making us last longer, making us tankier in the fight so that we can survive longer, giving us some sort of utility to be more of a nuisance, all that kind of stuff. Everything in this build is very synergistic when it comes to our dashes. We're maxing our dash because both our dash and our one are charge abilities. So once we get rapid recharge, we can get multiple uses out of those in fights. And there's not a big downtime between each dash either. If you have multiple dashes up, I think it's like 4 seconds or something before you can cast the next one, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, not going to go too in depth. We're not going to go over Infernus Kit. You guys can just watch the last video if you want, but just go this build from left to right, and you'll have a lot of fun. Just make sure you're maxing your 2 and not worrying too much about your left click, just dashing around in fights, using your 1, spamming on people, and getting in there, not being afraid. And that's basically it, guys. Those are 5 characters that I don't think aim is that important on, that you can play in Deadlock right now, and I think have a lot of fun with and a lot of success. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.